The marina at midnight smells like diesel fuel and broken promises. I'm hunched over the alternator of my Grady White, pretending to fix something that works perfectly fine, nursing a bourbon that tastes like regret. The city skyline glitters across the water like scattered diamonds on black velvet, mocking me with its beauty. My phone buzzes against the toolbox. Matt, my 20-year-old son, texting from college. "Did Mom say you had to work late again? She's been weird all week. You okay?" I'm not okay. Haven't been for months, but I text back, "Just boat maintenance. Everything's fine." Another lie in a growing collection. He understands the pressure I'm under, my wife said about her boss 3 weeks ago. You never do. I nodded and left for what she thought was a business trip to Chicago. What I actually did was book the hotel room next to theirs at the airport Marriott. When I knocked on their door at midnight, the look on their faces was worth every penny of the private investigator's fee. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me back up to when my world still made sense, when I thought 22 years of marriage meant something more than a legal document and shared mortgage payments. Warren Bear Decker, that's me. 44 years old, ex-Marine turned mechanical engineer, now consulting partner at Precision Design Solutions. I earned the nickname Bear in boot camp. Not because I'm particularly large, though I've kept most of my military build, but because I'm stubborn as hell and protective of what's mine. Or what I thought was mine. My wife Allison is 41, sharp as a razor blade and twice as cutting when she wants to be. She clawed her way up from a public defender's office to junior partner at Whitmore, Sterling and Associates, one of the city's most prestigious law firms. I was proud of her. Past tense. The signs were there if I'd bothered to look. Late nights that stretched later. Weekend conferences that required overnight stays. New lingerie that I never saw. A phone that she guarded like state secrets. "You're paranoid," she'd say when I asked about her schedule. This is what success looks like, Warren. Maybe if you showed some ambition instead of tinkering with boats and engines, you'd understand. The insult stung because they carried just enough truth to burrow deep. I liked my work, liked solving mechanical puzzles, liked the satisfaction of making things run smoothly. But ambition, the kind that required stepping on people to climb higher? That wasn't me. Apparently it was her. The marina's night security guard, Eddie, wanders over with his thermos of coffee and his stories nobody wants to hear. "Working late again, Bear?" Something like that. "Trouble at home?" I consider telling him everything. How I hired Donnie Vance, a private investigator who looks like an accountant but thinks like a cop. How Donnie delivered 32 pages of documentation 3 weeks ago. Hotel receipts, GPS logs from her car, photographs time-stamped and dated. How I discovered joint account transfers to something called Whitmore Consulting LLC that I never authorized. Instead, I take another sip of bourbon and say, "Just engine trouble." Eddie nods like he understands, but he doesn't. Nobody does. The evidence sits in a safety deposit box across town. Allison and Gareth Whitmore, managing partner of her firm, checking into the same hotels on the same nights for 8 months. Gareth, 52 years old, silver-haired, married to a woman who inherited more money than God. Gareth, who hired Allison fresh out of law school and has been mentoring her ever since. My phone buzzes again. This time it's Emily, my 17-year-old daughter. "Dad, where are you? Mom's acting weird and I don't want to deal with her attitude alone." Emily's caught in the middle of something she doesn't understand yet. She sees the tension but doesn't know its source. Part of me wants to keep it that way. The other part wants to show her exactly what kind of woman her mother really is. I text back, "On my way home." The drive from the marina to our suburban house takes 20 minutes through empty streets. Our neighborhood looks like something from a magazine. Manicured lawns, 2-car garages, the American dream wrapped in vinyl siding and mortgage payments. Mrs. Krantz from next door waves from her kitchen window. She's always watching, always collecting information like a human surveillance system. Our house sits at the end of Maple Street, a colonial with blue shutters that Allison picked because it projected success. The driveway holds her BMW and my pickup truck, side by side like we're still a team. The front door opens before I reach it. Emily stands there in pajamas and worry, her dark hair, my hair, pulled back in a messy ponytail. "She's been on the phone for 2 hours," Emily whispers. Whispering and laughing. It's creepy. Through the kitchen doorway, I can hear Allison's voice, low and intimate, the tone she used to reserve for me. "Go to bed, sweetheart. I'll handle this." Emily hugs me quickly and disappears upstairs. I stand in the hallway, listening to my wife flirt with another man in the house I pay for, and something cold settles in my chest. The conversation ends with soft laughter and promises to talk tomorrow. Allison appears in the kitchen doorway, phone in hand, looking guilty and defiant at the same time. "You're home early," she says. "Finished faster than expected." I study her face, looking for tells. She's good at lying now, but not perfect. "Who was on the phone?" "Work stuff. You wouldn't understand." There it is again, the dismissal, the casual cruelty wrapped in professional superiority. "Try me." She sighs like I'm a child asking difficult questions. "Gareth was updating me on the Morrison case. We're presenting to the partners next week." "Gareth." She says his name like it tastes good. "At 11:30 at night?" "Some of us work past 5 o'clock, Warren." I could confront her right now, pull out my phone and show her the photographs Donnie took last Tuesday. Her and Gareth entering the Marriott at 6:47 p.m., leaving separately 3 hours later. I could watch her face crumble as 22 years of marriage dissolve in real time. Instead, I nod and head upstairs. Patience is a virtue I learned in the Marines. Know your enemy. Choose your battlefield. Strike when victory is certain. Our bedroom feels like a museum now, everything perfectly arranged and emotionally vacant. Allison follows me up, chattering about her day, her cases, her brilliant boss who understands her so well. "The Morrison case could make my career," she says, brushing her teeth. "Gareth thinks I have real potential." I'm sure he does. She doesn't catch the edge in my voice. She's too wrapped up in her own narrative, too convinced of her cleverness. Later, lying in the dark beside her, I listen to her breathing and plan my next move. Donnie's surveillance confirmed they meet every third Thursday at the airport Marriott. Tomorrow is Thursday. Time to see how well Gareth understands pressure. Thursday morning arrives with the kind of gray sky that matches my mood. Allison bounces around the kitchen like a woman with secrets, humming while she makes coffee I won't drink and toast I won't eat. "I'll be late tonight," she announces, not meeting my eyes. "Client dinner." "Which client?" "The Morrison people. Very important." She's getting sloppy with her lies, mixing up her stories. Yesterday it was a case presentation. Today it's a client dinner. Tomorrow it'll be something else. "Have fun," I say, kissing her cheek like a good husband should. She tastes like betrayal and expensive lipstick. After she leaves, I call my office and tell them I'm taking a personal day. Then I call Donnie Vance. "It's today," I tell him. "You sure about this, Bear? Once you see it with your own eyes, there's no going back." "I crossed that line 3 weeks ago when you handed me those photos." Donnie sighs. He's a good man, divorced twice, understands the particular agony of watching your life dissolve in slow motion. "Marriott, room 716. They usually arrive around 7. "I know. I'll be in 714. "And then what?" Then I introduce myself. The Marriott sits near the airport, convenient for business travelers and cheating spouses who need plausible cover stories. I check in at 3 p.m., telling the desk clerk I'm expecting a colleague and requesting a room on the 7th floor. Room 714 is identical to 1,000 other hotel rooms. Beige carpet, generic artwork, the smell of industrial cleaning products, and other people's disappointments. I settle into the chair by the window and wait. At 6:43 p.m., Allison's BMW pulls into the parking lot. She sits in the car for several minutes, checking her makeup in the rearview mirror, preparing for her performance. Gareth's silver Mercedes arrives 4 minutes later. They don't enter together. Allison goes first, Gareth follows 10 minutes behind. Professional discretion or practiced routine? Probably both. I give them an hour. 60 minutes to get comfortable, to forget the world outside their stolen paradise. Then I walk down the hallway and knock on 716. Gareth Whitmore answers the door in a hotel bathrobe, his silver hair mussed, looking like a man interrupted. Behind him, I can see Allison scrambling to cover herself with a sheet. "Can I help you?" Gareth asks, trying to project authority while standing half-dressed in a doorway. "Warren Decker," I say, extending my hand like we're meeting at a business conference. "Allison's husband." The color drains from his face. Behind him, Allison makes a sound like a wounded animal. "I think there's been some mistake." "No mistake. Room 716, registered under Whitmore Consulting, LLC. Same company that's been receiving transfers from my joint checking account. Interesting coincidence." Gareth tries to close the door. I put my foot against it, not forcing entry, just preventing escape. "We need to talk," I say. "Warren, please." Allison appears beside Gareth, wrapped in a hotel bathrobe, her face pale and panicked. "Hello, sweetheart. How was the client dinner?" She opens her mouth, closes it, opens it again. No words come out. I reach into my jacket and pull out a manila envelope. 32 pages of documentation, photos, receipts, bank transfers, GPS logs. My attorney has copies. So does my accountant. I hand the envelope to Gareth, who takes it with shaking fingers. You have until Monday to figure out how you want to handle this, I continue. Personally, professionally, legally. Your choice, but it ends now. I turn to walk away, then pause and look back at my wife. By the way, Allison, Emily was asking about you. I told her you were working late. Again. The elevator ride down feels like falling through space. In the lobby, I pass a young couple checking in, laughing and holding hands, still believing in forever. I want to warn them, but what would I say? Love dies, trust crumbles, people change into strangers wearing familiar faces. Instead, I walk to my truck and drive home to face my children. Emily's watching Netflix in the living room when I arrive. She looks up expectantly. Where's Mom? Still at work. She's always at work now. I know, sweetheart. Emily studies my face with the perceptiveness of 17-year-old girls everywhere. Dad, are you and Mom okay? The question hangs in the air like smoke. I could lie, maintain the fiction a little longer, preserve her innocence for another few days or weeks. But Emily's smart, and she deserves better than the performance her mother and I have been staging. We're having some problems, I admit. What kind of problems? Adult problems. Nothing for you to worry about. She mutes the television and turns to face me fully. That's what adults always say when everything's falling apart. Smart girl. Too smart. Your mother and I need to work some things out, but whatever happens between us, it doesn't change how we feel about you and Matt. Emily nods like she's heard this speech before, maybe from friends whose parents divorced, maybe from movies and television shows that treat family dissolution like entertainment. Are you getting divorced? The word hits like a physical blow. Divorced. After 22 years, it comes down to legal paperwork and asset division. I don't know yet. My phone buzzes. Text message from Allison. We need to talk. I delete it without responding. Dad? Emily's voice is small now, younger than her 17 years. Yeah? Whatever Mom did, I'm on your side. The loyalty in her voice breaks something inside me. She doesn't even know what happened, but she's choosing sides based on instinct and observation. What does that say about the woman who gave birth to her? You don't have to choose sides, Em. This isn't your fight. Everything that happens in this family is my fight. Another text from Allison. Please, let me explain. Another deletion. The house phone rings. Emily and I look at each other. Don't answer it, she says. We sit in silence, listening to the phone ring 6 times before going to voicemail. Then it starts ringing again. She's persistent, Emily observes. She's panicking. Ring. 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 Good, Emily says with surprising venom. Maybe now she knows how it feels. I study my daughter's face, seeing anger and hurt I didn't know was there. How long has she been watching? How much has she figured out on her own? The ringing stops. My cell phone immediately starts buzzing. This time I answer. Warren, thank God. We need to talk about what happened. No, we don't. You don't understand. It's not what you think. It's exactly what I think. You're having an affair with your boss. You've been lying to me for months. You've been stealing from our joint account to fund your little romance. What part am I misunderstanding? Silence on the other end. I'm coming home, she finally says. Don't. It's my house too. Then I'll leave. I hang up and look at Emily, who's been listening to my side of the conversation with growing understanding. She's cheating on you, she says. Not a question. Yeah. With her boss? Yeah. Emily processes this information with the rapid calculation of someone who's been putting puzzle pieces together for months. That's why she's been so happy lately, and why you've been so sad. I didn't realize it was that obvious. Adults think they're good at hiding things. You're not. My phone buzzes with another text, then another. I turn it off and toss it onto the coffee table. What happens now? Emily asks. I don't know. This is all new territory for me. For all of us. We sit together in the quiet house, father and daughter united by betrayal and uncertainty. Outside, Mrs. Krantz's porch light flicks on and off, her signal that she's seen something interesting and wants to talk about it. Tomorrow, the whole neighborhood will know. By next week, it'll be all over town. Allison's affair will become public property, dissected and analyzed by people who barely know us but feel entitled to opinions about our private catastrophe. But tonight, it's just Emily and me, sitting in the wreckage of what used to be a family, trying to figure out how to survive what comes next. The front door opens at 11:47 p.m. Allison enters quietly, probably hoping to find the house asleep and buy herself time to construct a better lie. Instead, she finds Emily and me waiting in the living room like a tribunal. "We need to talk," she says, her voice carefully controlled. "No," I reply. "We really don't." Friday morning brings rain and reckoning. Allison spent the night in the guest bedroom, and I can hear her on the phone again, whispering urgent conversations that stop whenever I walk by. Emily left for school early, claiming she had a study group. Really, she just wanted to escape the tension that fills our house like toxic gas. Can't blame her. I'm in the kitchen, making coffee and contemplating the ruins of my marriage when Allison appears in the doorway. She's dressed for work, power suit, perfect makeup, armor for whatever battle she thinks she's fighting. "We can't keep avoiding this conversation," she says. "Watch me." She sits down across from me, uninvited, and adopts what I recognize as her courtroom posture. Back straight, hands folded, expression carefully neutral. "What happened last night was unfortunate, but it's not what you think." "Really? What is it then?" Gareth and I have been working closely on several cases. Sometimes the professional relationship becomes complicated. Complicated. That's what we're calling adultery now? Her mask slips slightly, revealing the anger underneath. "Don't be crude, Warren. You're better than that." "Am I? Because right now I'm feeling pretty crude. Crude and betrayed and stupid for trusting you." "You're overreacting." The casual dismissal ignites something dangerous in my chest. Overreacting, like catching your wife in bed with another man, is some minor social faux pas. "Show me the bank statements," I say. "What?" "Our joint account. Show me where the money went." She shifts uncomfortably. "I don't know what you mean." "Whitmore Consulting, LLC. $15,000 over 6 months. What was that for?" "Legal consulting. Perfectly legitimate business expenses." "Whose business?" She doesn't answer, which is answer enough. I pull out my phone and show her a photograph Donnie took 3 weeks ago. Her and Gareth entering a downtown hotel, his hand on the small of her back, both of them laughing like conspirators. "Still think I'm overreacting?" Allison stares at the photo, her composure cracking like ice in spring. "You had me followed." "I had my suspicions confirmed. That's illegal." "No, it's not. But adultery might be grounds for an interesting divorce settlement." The word divorce hits her like a slap. She actually recoils. "Warren, please. We can work this out. Marriage counseling, therapy, whatever you want." "What I want is a time machine. Failing that, I want you gone." "This is my house, too." "Then buy me out." She stands abruptly, her professional composure completely shattered now. "You're being unreasonable. People make mistakes. Marriages survive infidelity all the time." "Not this marriage." "Think about the children. Think about Emily." "I am thinking about Emily. I'm thinking about what kind of example her mother is setting. I'm thinking about what kind of lies she's been living with." Allison's face goes pale. "You told her?" "She figured it out herself. Apparently you're not as clever as you think." The front door slams as Allison leaves for work, but not before I hear her making another phone call from the driveway. Probably warning Gareth that their secret is blown. Too late for damage control now? I spend the morning making my own phone calls. First, to my attorney, David Chen. No, scratch that. David Morrison, a guy I served with in the Marines who now practices family law. Then to my bank, freezing joint accounts and credit cards. Finally, to my office, telling them I need the rest of the week for personal business. By noon, I've constructed the framework for dismantling 22 years of shared life. It's surprisingly simple once you commit to it. The doorbell rings at 1:15 p.m. Mrs. Krantz stands on my porch, holding a casserole dish and wearing her best concerned neighbor expression. "Warren, dear, I hope you don't mind me dropping by. I made too much tuna casserole and thought you might enjoy some." Mrs. Krantz has never made too much of anything in her 73 years. She's here for information. "That's very kind of you, Mrs. Krantz. Please call me Dorothy. We've been neighbors for 8 years now?" She pushes past me into the house, casserole dish in hand, eyes already scanning for evidence of domestic discord. I couldn't help but notice Allison leaving rather early this morning and coming home quite late last night. I hope everything's all right. "Just work stuff." "Oh, I'm sure. Such a dedicated woman, your Allison. Always working late, always traveling for business. Just last week I saw her leaving with an overnight bag on Tuesday, and she didn't come back until Thursday morning." Dorothy Krantz, Neighborhood Surveillance System and Gossip Distribution Network, has been tracking my wife's movements better than I have. "You're very observant." At my age, dear, watching the neighbors is about the only entertainment I have left. Speaking of which, I noticed a very nice Mercedes parked in front of the Hendersons' house last Thursday evening. Silver, expensive looking. Not the kind of car you usually see in our neighborhood. The Hendersons live 3 houses down and have been in Florida for 2 months. Someone was using their empty driveway as a parking spot, probably thinking they were being discreet. Probably a visitor, I say. Probably, though I did notice the same car parked there several times over the past few months. Always on Thursday evenings, always gone by morning. Dorothy sets the casserole on my kitchen counter and turns to face me with the expression of someone delivering important intelligence. Warren, I hope you won't think I'm interfering, but I've lived long enough to recognize certain patterns. If you ever need someone to talk to, or if you need a witness to anything you might have observed, I want you to know I'm here. A witness. Dorothy Krantz, retired librarian and amateur detective, is offering to testify about my wife's affair. I appreciate that, Dorothy. Men like you deserve better, Warren. You work hard, you love your family, you take care of your responsibilities. Some women don't appreciate what they have until they lose it. After she leaves, I sit at my kitchen table, eating tuna casserole and planning my next move. Dorothy's intelligence confirms what I already knew, but it also suggests that Allison and Gareth have been careless. Sloppy. Arrogant. That's going to cost them. My phone rings. Emily calling from school. Dad, there's something you should know. Mom called me during lunch. What did she say? She wanted me to talk to you, to convince you that you're making a big mistake. She said you misunderstood what you saw last night. What did you tell her? I told her I'm not stupid, and neither are you. Pride swells in my chest. Emily's got backbone. She also said she's staying at Aunt Linda's for a few days while you cool down. Her words, Aunt Linda, Allison's sister, who lives in a downtown condo and has been divorced 3 times. Perfect place for Allison to plan her counterattack. How do you feel about that? Honestly? Relieved. The house feels lighter without her in it. After Emily hangs up, I walk through our home, seeing it with new eyes. Every room contains evidence of our shared history. Wedding photos, family vacations, milestone celebrations. But it also contains evidence of recent deception. New clothes Allison claimed were for work. A second cell phone charger by her bedside table. Credit card statements for restaurants I've never been to. How long was I blind? How many signs did I miss or dismiss? The garage holds my real sanctuary, a workbench where I restore old boat engines, surrounded by tools that serve clear purposes and solve definite problems. Unlike human relationships, mechanical systems follow logical rules. When something breaks, you can usually figure out why and fix it. People are more complicated. My cell phone buzzes. Text message from an unknown number. This is Gareth Whitmore. We should meet and discuss this situation like adults. I stare at the message for a long moment, then type back, No. Another message appears immediately. I understand you're upset, but there are better ways to handle this. Ways that don't hurt innocent people. Innocent people? Like his wife? Like my children? Like me? I type, You should have thought about innocent people 8 months ago. The response comes quickly. Don't make this harder than it needs to be. Allison and I work together. We can't simply pretend this never happened. He's right about that. They can't pretend it never happened, but they can definitely regret that it did. I delete his number and start making plans. Saturday morning, I drive to Coach Reggie's gym on the south side of town. The building looks like a converted warehouse, which it is, and smells like sweat, leather, and honest effort. Reggie Miles runs the place like a sanctuary for men who need somewhere to hit things legally. Reggie's behind the counter, reading a newspaper and drinking coffee from a mug that says, World's Okayest Coach. He's 53, former professional boxer, built like a fire hydrant with fists. We served together in Desert Storm, back when the world made more sense. Bear, he says, looking up from his paper. You look like hell. Feel worse. Woman trouble? The worst kind. Reggie pours me coffee without asking and leads me to his office, a cluttered room overlooking the gym floor where young fighters practice combinations on heavy bags. Talk to me. I tell him everything. The affair, the confrontation, the aftermath. Reggie listens without judgment, nodding occasionally, asking practical questions. What do you want to do about it? Honestly, I want to hurt them. Both of them. I want them to feel what I felt standing in that hotel hallway. Understandable, but what are you actually going to do? That's the difference between Reggie and most people. He doesn't waste time on moral lectures or empty sympathy. He deals with reality. I'm going to destroy them. Professionally, socially, financially. I'm going to make them wish they'd never met each other. How? Still working on that part. Reggie refills my coffee and leans back in his chair. You know what your problem is, Bear. You're thinking like a victim instead of a predator. Meaning? Meaning you're reacting to what they did instead of controlling what happens next. They made the first move. Now it's your turn. I'm open to suggestions. Start with information. Knowledge is power, and power is leverage. He's right. I've been so focused on my own pain that I haven't considered the bigger picture. Allison and Gareth work at the same law firm. Their affair isn't just personal. It's professional misconduct that could destroy both their careers. The law firm has policies about relationships between partners and associates, I say, thinking out loud. Probably. Most companies do. And if those policies were violated, then you've got them by the throat. I spend the afternoon at Reggie's gym, working out my rage on a heavy bag while my mind works on strategy. By evening, I have the framework of a plan. Sunday, I drive to Matt's college, 2 hours north of the city. He's waiting for me in the student union, tall and serious, looking more like a man than the boy I dropped off here 2 years ago. Dad, what's going on? Emily called me, but she was pretty cryptic. I tell him the truth, all of it. Matt listens with the same quiet intensity he's had since childhood, processing information like he's solving a complex equation. So Mom's cheating on you with her boss? Yeah. And you caught them in a hotel room? Yeah. And now you're getting divorced? Probably. Matt nods slowly. Good. The response surprises me. Good? Dad, I've been watching you two for years. You've been miserable. She treats you like you're not good enough for her, like you're some kind of burden she has to carry. I didn't realize it was that obvious. It was obvious to everyone except you. Emily and I used to talk about it when we came home for holidays. We kept waiting for one of you to do something. I'm sorry you had to see that. Don't apologize, just don't let her walk all over you in the divorce. Smart kid. Definitely gets that from me. Monday morning, I'm waiting in the parking garage of Whitmore, Sterling and Associates when Allison arrives for work. She sees me leaning against my truck and approaches cautiously, like I might be dangerous. Maybe I am. Warren, what are you doing here? Waiting for you. This is harassment. This is a public parking garage. I have every right to be here. She looks around nervously, probably worried that her colleagues might see us together and start asking questions. What do you want? I want you to resign. What? Quit your job, today. Clean out your desk, say goodbye to Gareth, and find employment somewhere else. That's ridiculous. I'm not giving up my career because you're having a tantrum. It's not a tantrum, Allison. It's a choice. You can resign voluntarily, or I can make your position here untenable. You can't do anything to me. I haven't broken any laws. Haven't you? Let's see. Misappropriation of joint assets. That's civil court. Adultery with a superior. That's professional misconduct. Using company resources for personal relationships. That's grounds for termination. Her face goes pale. You're bluffing. I pull out my phone and show her a contact. Tara Sims, HR director. Tara's my friend. Tara's a professional. When I show her the evidence I've collected, she'll have to act on it. Company policy. You wouldn't. Try me. Allison stares at me like she's seeing a stranger. Maybe she is. The Warren she married was accommodating, forgiving, willing to overlook her casual cruelties for the sake of peace. That Warren is gone. This isn't you, she says. No, this is exactly me. You just never bothered to look. I walk away, leaving her standing in the parking garage, finally understanding that actions have consequences. Tuesday afternoon, I'm in my office when David Morrison calls. Warren, we need to talk. Allison's attorney contacted me this morning. Already? That was fast. She's claiming mental distress, harassment, and intimidation. She wants a restraining order. Based on what? She says you've been following her, threatening her job, and creating a hostile environment. I had one conversation with her in a public parking garage. That's what I told her attorney. But Warren, you need to be careful. Don't give them ammunition. Understood. There's something else. She's also claiming that you've been hiding assets and manipulating joint accounts. I froze the accounts to prevent further unauthorized transfers. Perfectly legal. I know that, and you know that, but it's going to make the divorce proceedings more complicated. How complicated? She wants half of everything, plus alimony, plus she wants to keep the house. Over my corpse. That's what I told her attorney, in more diplomatic terms. After David hangs up, I sit in my office, staring out the window at the city skyline. Allison's moving fast, trying to control the narrative and secure her position. She's good at legal strategy, I'll give her that, but she's not the only one who can play games. Wednesday evening, I'm having dinner at Giuseppe's, a small Italian restaurant downtown, when I spot them. Allison and Gareth sitting in a corner booth, heads close together, discussing strategy over wine and pasta. They look comfortable, confident, like they've weathered the storm and emerged victorious. That's about to change. I pay my check and walk over to their table. They look up in surprise and alarm. "Good evening," I say pleasantly. "Mind if I join you?" "Warren, please don't make a scene," Allison whispers. "I'm not making a scene. I'm just saying hello to my wife and her boss." Gareth starts to stand. "I think you should leave." "Actually, I think you should stay, both of you. We're going to have that adult conversation you wanted." I sit down uninvited, signaling the waiter for another chair. Around us, other diners are starting to notice the tension. "Here's what's going to happen," I continue, keeping my voice conversational. "Allison, you're going to withdraw your request for a restraining order. Gareth, you're going to recuse yourself from any cases involving my wife, effective immediately." "You can't dictate terms to us," Gareth says. "Can't I? Let's find out." I pull out my phone and place it on the table, recording app visible. "Tell me about Whitmore Consulting, LLC, I say. Neither of them responds. "It's a shell company you created to funnel money from my joint account. $15,000 over 6 months. What was it for? Hotel rooms, gifts, weekend getaways?" "That's a legitimate business expense," Gareth says. "For what business? What services did Whitmore Consulting provide that required payments from my personal account?" Silence. "Here's what I think happened. You two have been using company resources and my money to finance your affair. That's embezzlement, fraud, and professional misconduct. Any one of those charges could end both your careers." "You're fishing," Allison says, but her voice lacks conviction. "Am I? Tomorrow morning, I'm meeting with Tara Sims in HR. I'm bringing bank records, hotel receipts, photographs, and witness statements. By noon, this will be an official company investigation." I stand up, pocketing my phone. "Enjoy your dinner. It might be your last one together." As I walk away, I can hear them arguing in urgent whispers. The evening is about to get very interesting for both of them. Thursday morning, I'm sitting in Tara Sims's office, watching her review the evidence I've compiled. Tara is 39, sharp, professional, and thorough. She's also Allison's friend, which makes this conversation particularly delicate. "This is quite comprehensive," she says finally. "I'm a thorough person." "Warren, I have to ask, what outcome are you looking for here?" "Justice, accountability, consequences." "More specifically?" "I want them both gone, resigned, terminated, whatever it takes. They violated company policy, misused resources, and committed professional misconduct. In any other context, they'd be fired immediately." Tara closes the folder and looks at me directly. "You understand that pursuing this will destroy Allison's career. She destroyed her own career when she decided to sleep with her boss. And you're okay with that?" "I'm okay with people facing the consequences of their choices." Tara nods slowly. "I'll need to present this to the partners. They'll want to conduct their own investigation." "How long will that take?" "A few days, maybe a week. And these things have to be handled carefully." "I understand. But Tara, I want you to know, this doesn't end here. If the firm doesn't take appropriate action, I'll take this public. Media, social networks, professional organizations, everyone will know what kind of company Whitmore, Sterling, and Associates really is. That's quite a threat." "It's not a threat, it's a promise." I leave Tara's office feeling lighter than I have in months. The wheels of justice grind slowly, but they grind exceedingly fine. By Friday afternoon, the gossip network is in full swing. Dorothy Krantz calls to tell me she's seen moving trucks at 3 different houses on our street. Apparently, news of the Decker marriage implosion is inspiring other couples to examine their own relationships. Emily comes home from school with updates from the Teenage Intelligence Network. "Madison's mom works at Mom's law firm," she reports. "She says there's been a lot of closed-door meetings this week." "Interesting." Also, Mom called again. She wants to have dinner tomorrow night. Family meeting, she called it. "What did you tell her?" "I told her I was busy." "Are you?" "I am now." That evening, I'm working in the garage when my phone rings. Unknown number. "This is Warren." "Mr. Decker, this is Patricia Whitmore, Gareth's wife." The conversation I've been expecting. "Mrs. Whitmore, I think we should meet." Saturday morning, I meet Patricia Whitmore at a coffee shop downtown, far from both our neighborhoods and the law firm that employs her husband. She's elegant in the way that old money produces. Understated clothes, perfect posture, the kind of confidence that comes from never having to worry about anything as mundane as a mortgage payment. "Thank you for coming," she says as I sit down across from her. "Thank you for calling." Patricia Whitmore is 50, blonde, beautiful, in a carefully maintained way. She's also, according to Donnie's research, worth about $12 million in inherited wealth. Gareth married well, which makes his affair with Allison even more stupid. "I assume you know why I wanted to meet." "I have a pretty good idea." She slides a manila folder across the table. "I hired my own investigator 3 months ago. I thought you might find this interesting." The folder contains photographs, bank records, and phone logs that make my evidence look amateur by comparison. Patricia's investigator documented not just the affair, but the financial arrangements, the cover stories, and the professional misconduct in exhaustive detail. "Why are you showing me this?" "Because Gareth thinks he's smarter than everyone else. He thinks he can manipulate situations and people without consequences. I want him to learn otherwise." "What do you want from me?" "Cooperation. You're going after them professionally. I'm going after them financially and socially. Together we can make sure they both lose everything." Patricia Whitmore, it turns out, is not the decorative trophy wife Gareth thinks he married. She's a predator who's been waiting 22 years for her husband to give her sufficient cause to destroy him. What did you have in mind? The firm's annual gala is next Saturday. 500 guests, all the important people in the city's legal community. Gareth is scheduled to give the keynote address about professional ethics. The irony is almost too perfect. I'll be there as his dutiful wife, of course, but I thought you might like to attend as well, as Allison's husband. I wasn't invited. You are now. She slides an invitation across the table. +1, if you'd like to bring someone. What exactly are you planning? Nothing illegal, nothing violent, just a public revelation of truth at the moment when it will have maximum impact. Patricia Whitmore smiles, and I understand why Gareth should have been more careful. Hell hath no fury like a wealthy woman scorned. I'm in. The week passes in a blur of preparation. Tara calls on Tuesday to inform me that the firm has opened a formal investigation into Gareth and Allison's conduct. Both have been placed on administrative leave pending the outcome. Emily reports that Allison has been calling the house repeatedly, leaving increasingly desperate voicemails about working things out and thinking about the family. Matt drives down from college on Thursday, ostensibly for a weekend visit, but really to provide moral support for what he calls Dad's nuclear option. You sure you want to do this publicly? He asks as we sit in the garage, working on a boat engine that doesn't need repair. Your mother made this public when she started flaunting her affair around town. I'm just making sure everyone gets the full story. What about Emily? This is going to be rough on her. Emily's tougher than you think. Besides, she deserves to know the truth about her mother. Friday evening, I pick up my tuxedo from the dry cleaner and review my notes one final time. Patricia has been coordinating our strategy through encrypted messages that would make CIA operatives proud. She's thought of everything: timing, witnesses, media coverage, legal implications. Tomorrow night, Gareth Whitmore and my wife are going to learn what happens when you underestimate the people you betray. Saturday arrives with clear skies and perfect weather. The kind of day that makes you believe in justice and second chances. The Whitmore, Sterling, and Associates annual gala is held at the Riverside Country Club, a monument to old money and older prejudices. I arrive at 7:30, wearing my best tuxedo and my most pleasant expression. The ballroom is filled with the city's legal elite, judges, prosecutors, defense attorneys, and the politicians who depend on their donations. Everyone who matters in the local legal community is here, dressed in their finest clothes and most professional smiles. I spot Allison across the room, wearing a black evening gown that probably costs more than most people make in a month. She's standing with a group of associates, trying to project confidence while her world crumbles around her. Gareth is near the bar, holding court with several prominent judges, playing the role of successful managing partner one last time. Patricia appears at my elbow, stunning in midnight blue silk. Ready? She asks. Let's do this. The evening's program begins with cocktails and networking, followed by dinner and speeches. Gareth is scheduled to speak at 9:30, just after the dessert course. At 9:20, Patricia excuses herself from our table and walks to the podium. She speaks briefly to the master of ceremonies, showing him something on her phone. His expression changes from polite interest to shock. At 9:25, the master of ceremonies approaches the microphone. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a slight change to this evening's program. Mrs. Patricia Whitmore has asked to introduce her husband tonight, and we're delighted to accommodate her request. Applause fills the ballroom as Patricia takes the podium. Gareth looks surprised but pleased. His wife has never shown interest in his professional achievements before. Thank you all for being here tonight, Patricia begins, her voice carrying clearly through the sound system. I've been married to Gareth for 22 years, and I've watched him build this firm into one of the most respected legal practices in the state. More applause. Gareth preens. Tonight, Gareth was planning to speak about professional ethics, about the importance of integrity in our profession, about the trust that clients place in their attorneys. The applause fades as something in Patricia's tone suggests this isn't going where the audience expected. But before he does that, I think you should all see something. The lights dim, and a large screen descends behind the podium. Patricia produces a remote control. These photographs were taken over the past 8 months by a private investigator I hired to document my husband's affair with his associate, Allison Decker. The first photograph appears on the screen, Gareth and Allison entering a hotel together. Gasps ripple through the audience. This is them at the Marriott on March 15th. Click, another photo. The Hilton on April 20th. Click. The Sheraton on May 10th. The photographs continue, each one more damning than the last. The audience sits in stunned silence as Patricia methodically destroys her husband's reputation and career. Of course, the affair itself is just a personal matter between spouses. Patricia continues conversationally. But when my husband began using firm resources to finance his relationship, and when he began manipulating case assignments to benefit his lover, it became a professional matter as well. The screen now shows bank records, expense reports, and internal memos that document the systematic abuse of professional responsibility. These documents show how Gareth created a shell company to funnel money from client accounts and employee pension funds to pay for hotels, gifts, and travel for his affair. The audience is no longer just shocked. They're angry. Several prominent attorneys are already heading for the exits, probably calling their own investigators and accountants. So when Gareth speaks to you tonight about professional ethics, I want you to remember these images. I want you to remember that integrity isn't just a word we use in speeches. It's supposed to be the foundation of everything we do. Patricia sets down the remote and looks directly at her husband, who is standing frozen near the bar, his face white with shock and rage. I'm filing for divorce on Monday morning. I'm also filing complaints with the State Bar Association, the District Attorney's Office, and the IRS. Gareth, you have until noon tomorrow to remove your belongings from our house. After that, the locks will be changed. She walks off the podium to absolute silence, pausing only to hand me the microphone. Warren Decker, I say, introducing myself to the stunned audience. Allison's husband. I don't need to say much. Patricia has done the heavy lifting, but I want these people to understand the human cost of what they've witnessed. 22 years of marriage, 2 children, a life built on trust and mutual respect, destroyed by 2 people who thought they were smarter than everyone else. I look directly at Allison, who is standing near the exit, tears streaming down her face. My wife told me that Gareth understood the pressure she was under better than I did. She was right. He understood exactly how to exploit that pressure for his own benefit. I set down the microphone and walked toward the exit. The ballroom remained silent except for the sound of chairs scraping as people begin to leave. In the parking lot, Patricia is waiting by my truck. How do you feel? She asks, like I can finally breathe again. Good, because this is just the beginning. She's right. Over the next few weeks, the scandal explodes across the city's legal community. Gareth is disbarred, investigated for embezzlement, and becomes a social pariah. Allison loses her law license, her job prospects, and most of her friends. The divorce proceedings are swift and brutal. Allison gets nothing, no alimony, no house, no retirement funds. The prenuptial agreement she insisted on 22 years ago, designed to protect her assets from my lower-class background, instead protects my assets from her professional misconduct. Emily moves in with me permanently. Matt finishes college and starts law school, determined to restore honor to the family name in the legal profession. I keep the house, the boat, and my self-respect. 6 months later, I'm sitting on my dock at sunset, drinking bourbon and watching the city lights reflect on the water. My phone buzzes with a text from an unknown number. This is Allison. I know you probably don't want to hear from me, but I wanted you to know I'm sorry for everything. I read the message twice, then delete it without responding. Some apologies come too late to matter. The sun sets behind the city skyline, painting the sky in shades of orange and red. Tomorrow will bring new challenges, new possibilities, new chances to build something better from the ruins of what came before. But tonight, I'm exactly where I want to be. Alone on my boat, master of my own destiny, finally free from the lies that nearly destroyed me. The marina is quiet except for the gentle lapping of waves against the hulls of sleeping boats. In the distance, I can hear the sounds of the city. Traffic, sirens, the endless pulse of human ambition and folly. But here on the water, surrounded by the honest simplicity of wind and tide, I've found something I thought I'd lost forever. Peace.